Welcome to the SDC webinar. My name is Bana Crook and I'm Community Engagement Officer for working for CCS, part of Somerset Diverse Community. And I'm thrilled to have today to discuss exciting world of cooperative enterprise. And we have got two very nice gentlemen from Southwest Co-op Development, and they're going to introduce themselves. And then we will know all the challenges and the opportunities that the cooperation, the co-op enterprise brings, but also learn all about what the future holds for the communities, for individuals. So let's welcome from Southwest Co-op Development. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Alex Laurie.
And I'm Rob Ewers.
Very nice to meet you, both of you. I would like to say that because our audience may not speak English, may not be their first language. So if you could please keep it as simple and in a English language that they can understand. So I have got a set of questions and please take your time. There is no rush. And this will be more informative for me as well as for the audience. So welcome, Rob and Alex, to this webinar. My first question is, so what is cooperative?
So a cooperative is a type of business, and they come in all shapes and sizes. They operate in many different sectors of the economy. Some are very large, like the grocery stores that I think everyone will be familiar with, but some are very small indeed, just involving a handful of people. But they all have certain features in common, which sets them apart from other businesses. Firstly, their purpose is not to simply make a profit, but to, in some sense, serve a community. And that community is made up of the people who benefit from what they do. So in a workers' cooperative, it is the employees or the staff who are the intended beneficiaries, and the co-op works to serve them. In a housing cooperative, it might be the tenants. In a consumer co-op, it's the people who shop at the store. That's how the co-op grocery works again. And in a service users cooperative, it's the people who benefit from the delivery of services that are the beneficiaries and who make up the membership. And cooperatives are all about membership. Anyone who benefits from the services of the cooperative is entitled, as of right, to become a member and have an equal say in managing and directing the organization. So cooperatives are democratic. And they also have an obligation to apply their profits fairly for the benefit of all the people involved. So these make them a kind of social enterprise. They exist for the purpose of delivering a social good. But they do, of course, have to trade in just the same way as any other business. They have to make a profit. They have to keep their cash flow regular. They have to deliver a good quality service in the marketplace. So in many ways, all the same things that affect a private business affect a cooperative too.
Wow, what a detailed and super answer. So I have actually learned all about it. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, so how can co-op help communities like we work with, the Somerset diverse communities? So can you just help the audience how it can help diverse communities?
So I think there are really two ways in which a co-op can help diverse communities. The first is by pulling people together across boundaries. One of the key principles of the cooperative movement is open membership open without discrimination. So they're naturally very inclusive businesses in which all the different viewpoints of a diverse community can be brought together and reconciled in the process of managing and delivering business services. So that's the first thing, is that if you're seeking to run some kind of activity, so seeking to deliver services, create employment, create housing, any of these things that co-ops can do, a cooperative provides a framework in which people from a wide range of backgrounds can come together and democratically answer the big questions about how it should be run. So that's the first way that they can help. They're inclusive. But there's another thing that they can do as well. Sometimes a community will find that because of the structural arrangements of the economy, they don't get the same benefits from the services and the businesses that are out there as others do. And they're sometimes socially excluded from participating in mainstream life. And cooperatives have been used in the past to enable a community to bring in services that it would otherwise lack. Maybe, for example, it's a long journey out of where you live to the nearest supermarket because supermarkets haven't bothered to open a branch to serve that part of town. Well, your community can then organise its own shop and run it directly and make sure that there are basic retail goods available in that location. Another example is we can go back to the 1950s when people were arriving from the Caribbean in London, and they came and found that the conventional banking system was, let's say, not very welcoming to them. But they were very familiar from their experience in Jamaica with the idea of a credit union, a kind of banking cooperative, providing savings and loans. And so people from that community formed their own credit union. And the idea was actually a very new one in Britain. And their initiative and others like them gave rise to what is now a movement. And most communities around the country have credit unions. And indeed, that very credit union I was describing in Lambeth has gone on through mergers and growth to become the main credit union for people living in London. So often a community will start a cooperative to meet a need where it's been forgotten or excluded by the mainstream economy. But over time, that can very often become a very inclusive thing that involves people outside that community and becomes a mainstream service in its own right, but an inclusive one.
That is fantastic. Oh my goodness, I didn't know any of this, honestly. So this is fantastic. What another super answer. So how easy it is to find employment and earn living through cooperative?
So I'm glad to say that there are a number of cooperatives providing employment, and you can be confident when you put in a job application to a cooperative that you'll get fair and equal treatment. But I think one of the big opportunities is where you're in an area where there is simply a lack of employment, or perhaps a lack of dignified, of high quality employment. Then that's where a cooperative can really come into its own. It can be a way for a group of people to come together and say, look, we have skills, we have drive, we have vision. Why shouldn't we employ each other to deliver this business idea? And so starting a workers' cooperative or a community cooperative with a high degree of involvement from employees can be a really good way to bring employment to areas where opportunities are lacking and people feel like their lives are stuck in a bit of a dead end. So yeah, I think cooperatives can create jobs where jobs are lacking, and they can also, I think, pick up on needs that the mainstream economy might not appreciate. There might be, for example, particular culinary traditions from within a community, or certain particular demands for types of clothing or lifestyle options that the mainstream economy just hasn't picked up on and doesn't offer. A cooperative can be a great way of both creating employment within that community and delivering the goods that that community really appreciates.
So that actually links very nicely to the next question, because of the communities, the type of communities I work with, the diversity. Can cooperative break the barriers of discrimination?
Yeah, I think that's the key question, and it's the reasons I wanted to explore this topic with yourselves. The reality, I think, is that things are getting better, but there still is discrimination in the UK in this day and age. And the thing that I think makes cooperatives and social enterprises uniquely position to address that is because it's about people, as Alex has said, it's about people creating their own employment and forming communities around each other and with each other in order to achieve a shared vision, or provide a service, or run a small business, or even a large business it could develop into over time. And under the cooperative principles, the membership of cooperatives is, as Alex has said, open and inclusive from the start. So you'll see lots of companies and lots of charities adopting equality and diversity policies,
Yes.
that kind of thing, which is absolutely the right thing to do. But the thing about cooperatives is that is already baked in from the beginning. The membership is open and it's democratic, and it's about a group of people coming together, and it doesn't matter what their professional background is, or what, how much money they have, or what their status is. They can come together and start their own business and work with each other and for each other to make themselves included in the economy. And when they do that, that business can touch on all sorts of other people in the wider economy as well. So then people see, those people become more visible in society, and they become professionals at providing the service that they're there to provide. And so it breaks down barriers to discrimination within communities and outside of communities to those communities as well. And it's all about tackling discrimination through broader social and economic inclusion, and essentially running your own business. Because you can't look at someone who runs their own business successfully and you have to give them credit for that, don't you?
Of course, it's the big,
yes. Yeah, I do. I think cooperatives are really unique in their ability to tackle discrimination and really integrate people into society.
I'd just add that in any large business, sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes people do not get well treated. Sometimes people are treated unfairly. And if that business is run as a democracy, and there is a membership who have an opportunity to hold its leadership accountable, well, then the chances of being able to fix that problem and stop that behavior and address the situation that's arisen is much better. So cooperatives have a natural remedy built in for problems that may arise.
That's fantastic. I mean, this is so encouraging that you're on the ball. No, you have been doing this for years and you've got a lot of experience. For the listeners' point of view, people, for their encouragement, do you have any success stories, anything that you can share with them? How do you do this? Any examples that you can give for anybody listening and saying, oh, there is hope for me. I can go for it. I can take the plunge, So please share some examples that will be encouraging.
Absolutely, yeah. So, for example, we have a community land trust here in Taunton. In fact, it manages the 4 flats that are immediately above us now. And it was set up very much on cooperative principles, with the intention that while its membership would be drawn from the community, its tenants would also have a very strong voice in running the business on a day-to-day basis. And it was agreed that its policy for allocating flats would be non-discriminatory. And it's interesting that without there being any intention to serve a particular community, we did find that in the first few years, we had sometimes all the flats occupied by people who had experienced discrimination in their lives on the basis of their sexuality. And when we looked into it further, we found that, in fact, that community is often disadvantaged in housing terms. They maybe haven't had the opportunity to live with their parents as long as other people have. They maybe had difficulties in their educational background, which meant they haven't secured such good jobs. And for all sorts of reasons, they often found themselves in housing need. And our affordable social flats, allocated without discrimination, gave them an opportunity that they otherwise wouldn't have. I mentioned earlier the history of credit unions in London and how in many cases those were started by ethnic minorities. There are also some great examples of food retailers and wholesalers, indeed, who have used connections that they have through their family, through their heritage to other countries, to import into the country all sorts of foods specific to their culture and maybe hard to get hold of in conventional supermarkets. And they've formed cooperatives to do that. So, yeah, I think there are some great examples out there of how co-ops have benefited diverse communities.
Well, you are doing an amazing job in the community. Now, I have learned so much from you, and I'm sure a lot of audience are going to learn. How can people learn more about it? Who can they contact? How can they go about it and say, I really want to know a little bit more? Despite of you have answered the questions absolutely, like, beautifully. All the answers were in detail, and they will help a lot of people. I am 100% sure that this is going to help the audience. But furthermore, how can they learn? Who can they contact?
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say they could contact Southwest Cooperative Development in the first instance if they wanted to just learn more about it. We wouldn't ever charge people money just for asking us about things and learning about things and doing, talking about a business idea that they might have, or what kind of legal structure should we use and that kind of thing. We wouldn't, that would be free. So we're not going to be asking people money for that. So we're very approachable in that sense. They can also go to Co-ops UK. Or Cooperatives UK. That's the main UK, I'm going to say, is it regulator or
apex body, I think.
Apex body. Okay, interesting. Yeah, and their website, if you just Google Cooperatives UK, their website has all sorts of resources, and it has step-by-step guides, it has videos, and it has examples of cooperatives and things, and you'll be able to get a pretty good understanding of what a cooperative is from there as well. And you can download resources to read if you want to, and all sorts of other things. But I think probably the best way is just to speak to somebody who knows and ask questions. And we're more than willing to do that, as we've said.
Fantastic, because what we are going to do is that with this webinar, when it is going to go on live, we will put all the details, who to contact, obviously. So that I'm hoping that you will receive lots and lots of telephone calls, emails, and the people will be more interested and encouraged after today's
Bring them on.
webinar. Yeah. Thank you so much. It was absolutely joy to interview you both, and actually it has added to my knowledge and learning. And so next time when we speak, hopefully it will be next level up.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.